I think it came through me. I have on the front, as retold by Netta Fei, no bio, no anything in the book because I don't think it's mine. It's his that I'm introducing to the world, and not for him, but for us,
Right.
for each of us to build upon shaping our choices, of how
Gosh.
we want to live, how we want to show up, how
Hmm.
we want to exit.
Yeah.
I want to say I have a good life and I have no regret.
Hey, everyone. Let's start healing. I'm Adrienne Murchison, and welcome back to the Let's Start Healing podcast. We have more in common than we think, and what we have in common can change the world. My guest today is Netta Fei. She's a returning guest, and she is here to discuss her latest book, The Book of Burnett. And I am so excited about you meeting her and getting reacquainted. This is her third time on the podcast. She was on previously to discuss her book, A Most Useful Betrothal. And then she was a guest on my 24-hour episode. And she is here, as I said, to discuss her latest book. It is a honoring and a tribute and an ode to her late father. It is a book of wisdom, the Book of Burnett. It is 42 timeless truths from Reverend Burnett S. Jackson, a Southern Black Baptist pastor offering practical wisdom for living with clarity, courage, spiritual grounding, and without regret. And we discuss some of the chapters in the book and these pieces of wisdom that she wrote about as we talk about so many things. We talk about life, navigating life, losing people that we lost, losing people that we love, staying connected to our spiritual grounding and our spirituality and God. Just we talk about so many things as we incorporate the wisdom of this book. And we definitely acknowledge something that I love to bring up, which is how we can connect to people who we have lost, our loved ones who have passed on. Our relationship with them does not end when they leave this form. As much sorrow and pain that we may be in when they first leave, that relationship, it still continues. And Netta Fei connected with her father to write this book. We make a real point of that and of acknowledging that. So this is just the kind of spiritual conversation that I love, really love to have. I want to invite you to like this episode. Please share Let's Start Healing with at least one person that you know, and subscribe if you have not already. Well, let's get started. Let's meet her and let's start healing. Welcome, Netta Fei.
Hi, Adrian, and the Let's Start Healing audience. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm so honored and grateful to be sitting down with you again. I'm
Thank you.
really excited. This is our third sit down, I think.
I know. The last time you were here, man, you were just
Oh, yeah.
because you were the last guest on my 24-hour episode.
Yes.
You were helping, you were holding me up.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Thank
Yeah, you were so the boss in doing that.
Well,
Yeah.
you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I want
Mhm.
to start off asking you how you would characterize your relationship with God today. How has it been today?
Mm,
How have you been vibing with
mm,
God, your higher power, your
mm.
spirituality? How has that been flowing today? What would you describe it as?
Today has been a quiet flow, which is good and sweet. Things are kind of calm and quiet on the waters. and just maybe in a sense of gratitude. Sometimes my days are really high where I got music on and jumping and rolling and everything, or walking in the park. But today's been pretty quiet. But
Yeah.
but one of the things that I um, hold on to and that I encourage other people to think about
Mhm.
is that living on 10. And
Mhm.
I define living on 10 as being elevated, free, and joy filled every day. And some people think, oh, every day. And I'm thinking, yes, every day. I'm not talking about happiness. And because we know challenges come to us
Yeah.
often and in different forms. But through whatever it is, I can be elevated, free, and joy filled throughout all of it. And that's really because of my connection with the great I am, with the all knowing, with God resident in me is
Yeah.
how I feel about that.
And
So even in I had a sorority sister pass away last week, actually on the 31st,
oh,
the transmission day of the book, and what would have been my dad's 95th birthday. One of my sorority sisters from college passes away. Very, hit the sadness kind of hit. She was funeralized over the weekend on Saturday, and I went to the service and I greeted my other sisters i- in the phrase of joy in sorrow.
mhm.
And thankfully the minister, the eulogist said sorrow can turn into joy.
Mhm.
And he was encouraging that, but I was thinking, even in this, I feel joy. I can
Yeah.
feel joy
Yes.
even in this, for having known her, for the life she lived, all of those things. So perspective is everything. Today I'm feeling elevated, free, and joy in a quiet kind of calm
Love
sense.
it. I love it. So it's even if you're not feeling in joy, find a way to get to joy. And I know a way to do that is in gratitude.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It is. And joy is very different to me than happiness. It
Mm.
is a steady presence that doesn't have to leave you. It doesn't ever have to go away. And it is like you were saying, find gratitude, uh, find something positive in whatever you might be facing. Even some of
Yeah.
the darkest times can have some light if you look at it, if
Yeah.
you choose it, if you are okay with seeing it. It
Yes.
is there
Yeah.
all the time. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
That has
yes.
me thinking about one time I was crazy upset about something and I was sharing it with my mother and she said, and I don't know why she saw something in, that moment of me being upset compared to all the other moments throughout my life.
Mhm. Yeah.
And but what she said to me was, "Don't let anybody change who you are."
Mm.
And she felt like, maybe I could be going down that slope with the thing that I was upset about. And,
Mhm.
that has always stuck with me. I mean, that's been like 30 years ago.
Mhm. Oh, that's
Don't
beautiful.
Yeah, but don't
That's
let anybody,
beautiful.
steal
Yeah.
your joy, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They can if you let them,
Mhm.
right? Because joy is an inside out thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
happiness is an outside in thing. That's temporary, it fleeting. Somebody, gets up and move their chair, it could go away. But the joy is inside out. But I felt that from you through the post you made in January, because you talked about how tough a month that can be for you with some of the losses,
Yeah.
or the anniversaries of some of the losses of close people close to you during that time. So it kind of revisits itself, to you. But I felt in some of the things you wrote, allowing that you were
Mhm.
allowing yourself to feel whatever you needed to feel in
Right.
that moment. But I also felt hopeful, like it wasn't a low side, it was a high side of your, maybe grieving through that, you
Yeah.
know, which
Yeah.
is positive. Yeah, that's
Thank
a
you.
form of joy, that's a
That's
form of
true.
joy in that
True.
sorrow. Yeah, in that grief.
We actually happened to be recording on the anniversary of my brother passing. We're in the month of February of my
Okay.
2 brothers, and
Okay.
but when I think about him, I think about funny stuff. You know,
Uh,
I think about, just crazy stuff,
mhm,
just
mhm.
he was a trip and, we laugh when he was here and when now that he's gone, we still laugh.
You still laugh. He's
Yeah.
still there bringing you that kind of joy. And
Mhm.
there's beauty in that you had that relationship. I know so many people are estranged from siblings. And some and they have everybody have their reasons for the condition of a relationship, but you have that with your brother, the memory of the laughter, and that you can remember him even
Thank
today.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you.
you're how are you flowing in that?
I'm flowing pretty good. I'm flowing
Okay.
pretty good. It was a busy day. I knew it was gonna be a busy day, and,
Mhm.
I just think about, if anything, I think about the surrealness. He was the
Mhm.
first of my 2 brothers to pass,
Mm,
and,
mm,
I felt even though I'm the youngest, I felt a balance between them, so I
mm.
remember feeling out of balance.
Okay.
'Cause I
Yeah.
didn't have, 2 brothers, and it was very surreal in the moment, and, of course, upsetting, but,
Yes.
but, mostly I might think about that, but not mostly, I'll think about that if I think about the day, but
Mhm.
it's I definitely know that he's very, very present in spirit.
Yes, I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah.
Yes. I love that. I love that you accept that, which is a reality for me too, that people are not gone.
Mhm.
And I'm not just talking about memories. I'm talking about I can feel and entertain the spirit of them
Yeah.
in today's, language, in today's conversation.
Yeah.
It's not a memory, it's something that's now.
Right,
Yeah.
because you know what? I was listening to, uh, one of my favorite people to listen to is Wayne Dyer,
Mhm.
and he will have on a lot of times or would, Anita Moorjani, and she was a woman who had cancer and was in the hospital, and she had that near death experience where she literally died, and when she did come back, the cancer was gone. But
Mm.
she was talking about the experience of not being here, of
Mm.
being aware of the existence of herself without
Mm.
ego
Mm. Wow.
and the presence, just the presence of self.
Yes.
Just the presence of self,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
was really I've heard her speak a number of times on different, podcasts or what we're calling them now,
Mhm.
shows where he might bring her on. The
Mhm.
way that she put this, I mean, it was so simple,
Mm.
and she was speaking about fear and how our fear, gets in the way, but
Yes.
true
Yes.
the true spirit of God, that true divinity is
Yes.
is not, I think she used the word subjective, if that's the right word.
Mm.
It's
Okay. Mhm.
the true spirit, like, we bring all that agita into it,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
basically,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
I believe they literally use the word personal, like, of course, we're loved, we were created in love, but
Mhm.
we bring all that agita into it when on its own, it's just
Yes.
it's just love.
It's just pure.
Yes.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It is. It is. Yeah, and so much of what we get blocks it. We box it in or limit what it can be because of our understanding.
Mhm.
So, when you said that, I said, I appreciate that you're open to, you know, the spirit of your brother communing with you now.
Yeah.
When a lot of us were taught the impossibility of that, or that it was something, kind of evil.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
I
I embrace that too, particularly when people say, as the minister did on Saturday at Sherry's service,
Mhm.
absent from the body, present with the Lord. And if that's true, if you believe that, then the person is present with the Lord, but then the Bible says God is within. So
Yeah.
that person has to now be a part of me. They have to be a part of me,
Right. Right.
not just memory, but connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yes, 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 yes. But she had lived a beautiful life. Young person, I would consider young person still at 66, unexpected, but still a beautiful person, beautiful legacy. She's leaving full of life, all of the things most of us would ask for if
Yeah.
we were making a list. Yes.
What sorority are you in?
Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Where did you
Yeah.
go to college?
I went to the University of Georgia.
Oh,
There, the chapter is Zeta Psi chapter of the sorority. So I came into the sorority through the Zeta Psi chapter at University of Georgia,
yeah.
and I met Sherry there, as well as many other people. But that's how we
Mhm.
got to know each other.
Oh, wow. I'm so
Hmm.
sorry, but I know that I can tell she's close to you, in your
Yeah,
heart.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 and it was a lot of positivity. Her
Mhm.
service very bright, vibrant. Minister funny. Just everything was very lively. It was
Right.
about life, about celebration.
Mhm.
Not much on the sadness at all. So,
Well, I want to congratulate you on the Book of Burnett.
thank you. Thank you so much. I have a little copy right here that I keep with me
Yes.
now. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Reverend Jackson Burnett.
Burnett Jackson is my
Burnett.
dad. Yeah, and most people know him by his initials, Reverend B.S. Jackson. That's how he, was more known. The B's for Burnett. Um, and when I was born, I have two older brothers. I was the third of three. When I was born, I guess my parents maybe didn't have enough of naming, so they stuck A on his name and named me Burnetta. So that's where Netta comes
Yes.
from.
Yes.
Yeah, and my middle name is Faye. So growing up, my cousins, would call me Netta Fei. So I started, using that, during this stage of my life for a lot of good reasons.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And this book is a book of wisdom,
It,
basically. You got
yes,
from your dad, inspired by your dad?
inspired by my dad, 42 Truths for Living Life Well, Fully, and Without Regret. He has been gone 5 years, December, when he left. And he it was about almost a month before his 90th birthday
In 2021, he passed?
in 2020. The end of 2020 he
20.
passed. Yes,
Okay.
about a month before his 90th birthday, January 31st, when this transmission became available this year on what would have been his 95th birthday. And before he left, he and I like to tell this story because it still resonates with me, that I would visit and support him. My mom preceded him by 5 years leaving, so the end of that, he was needing some assistance. So I would go down a lot to visit and support him, and my older brother lives there, so we would work together, giving dad support. And I was at his house, and I walked into his room, and he was on his bed. His back was flat on his bed, knees bent, feet on the floor. And it turns out he was fast asleep. And I guess he had sat there, gone to sleep, and just kind of fell onto his back. So I gently nudged him to make sure, Dad, you're okay. I walked in, and he woke up, stirred, woke up, and kind of chuckled, sat up, and kind of like I said, laughed at himself. But he said, one day you're going to walk in here and you're going to find me dead. And I was like, Dad, don't say that, Mom. He said, No, no, it's okay. I don't want you guys to worry. I don't want you to fret. Everything is fine. He said, I've had a good life and I have no regret.
Mm.
And it struck me that him to say that just so definitively.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to think about that a while, to live life without regret.
Mm-hmm.
About 2 years later, he leaves, and it started just, as we do, think about people who are gone. Didn't really have an intention to write this, but the longer he was gone, my brothers and I, we talk often. Every time we talk, we would something that my dad said would come up,
Yeah.
some truth, some wisdom that he lived all the time. We heard it growing up, growing up, growing
Yeah.
up. And now we repeat it. We say it, we repeat it, and we laugh and talk about it. And I started to write them down, because I would say things to my children. I'm like, man, I'm saying the same thing Dad said to me. I would write it down, and one day I got a nudge to just ask my brothers, "What do you remember?" And then I started collecting a lot of the wisdoms and the truths that he would say. Some that he birthed, some that he borrowed, but all of them that he lived. And I started to realize when he said, "I have no regret,"
Yes.
he wasn't meaning he hadn't made mistakes,
Right.
but what he meant was that I used those mistakes. I learned from them. I saw them as teachers. I vowed not to make that mistake again. And I used it as a stepping stone for the next thing, for the next thing that I was to do. So I learned from them. So they were really not things for me to regret. They were things to me to embrace, to say,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for teaching me this.
Yeah.
I won't do that again.
Yes. And
And with writing these down, so we made a list of, I don't know how many, but 42 survived and got into this. And I'll still write down some that I remember now. But I started communing with him more, to not only mainly to find out what was behind what, that he would say these things a lot, trying to bring out the explanation of them, not just list what he said. And a lot of them were through experiences he had, like, raising a young family with just built a house and all those things. He had some financial challenges. He went through some ups and downs financially, and he would teach us a lot about what to do financially, what not to do, a lot of wisdoms about things like that, because he learned them and didn't want us to repeat them. So he left these things to spare us, so
yeah.
that we don't have to experience the lesson of learning, at least not these.
Right. Right.
We
And
may have our own, but it's like, don't repeat these.
they're deep. I'm looking forward to going over them. And you said you were communing with him. You did this after he passed, right?
Yes, yes. So 5 years after he passed, this comes out.
And when you said that you were getting an understanding of these wisdoms and the meaning behind them, you were communing with your father in spirit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Just
Just want to
asking the
make friends.
questions. Yeah. Some
Yeah.
things he would bring it up. Some of the wordings are kind of like what he would say. He would tell you, he would start to tell you. And I tell people, this was one of his favorite things to do. He was a pastor for almost 50 years. He moderated an association of about 30 churches, and he loved to kind of share and talk with people and try to see what can I leave them that's going to help them, move forward in what they're going to do. He loved doing that type of thing. And sometimes when he would start to do that, he would say, if truth be told, and I'm about to tell it, then he would go on and teach. So that kept coming up in this. So, people who read this, they're going to run into that if the truth
Yeah.
were told.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm about to tell it.
I gotta write there because questions are coming up for me, but I gotta ask you. I have a question to ask you after we go through this. What made
Okay.
you want to um, put it into like sections of wisdom because you saw them some like really related to each
Yes,
other?
yes, 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 yes. So there are 42, and that number wasn't something I came up with. And
Hmm.
like I said, we had more truths. My brothers and I, collected a list of more than those, but just kind of landed on the 42. And maybe that coming from dad too, but 42 kind of sections off nicely in groups of 6 or 7.
And I want to go through some of them.
Okay, okay.
Speech, conflict, and restraint. That's the third path, wisdom path 3.
Right, right, right.
Starts out with character and integrity. That's wisdom path 1.
Mm-hmm.
Money, provision, and stewardship is path 2. Faith, preparation. I'm jumping around.
Oh,
Speech,
hey, do you?
conflict, and restraint is path 3. Faith, preparation, and trust is 4. Time, patience, and process. And relationships and influence,
Mm-hmm.
legacy, wisdom, and finishing well. And then a closing reflection is carrying that wisdom forward.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Oh, and that makes sense really when I think about him, because his experience is probably very narrow into like those sections, and everything he taught hit one or more of those things. Again, from his experience. For example, the one with character. I mean, your word to him was your most precious thing.
Mhm.
And one of the things that this and my dad, I think, would call an assumption is that people want to live well, they want to have a good life, they want to live fully. And so with that, if you want to do those things, which is assumptions, these in 42 grouped by those 6 or 7 categories, was his kind of formula for how you do that.
Mhm.
And then that assumes you have a relationship with God, that you recognize the greater entity that's in you, that is there to help you also live well. Those built on those 2 assumptions, then you can get into these truths. And one of his big one was that your word is the most precious thing you have, and
Right.
it should be the thing that um, you can stand on when you come before people, even if they don't know you.
Mhm.
Right, that it will present a path, it will carve a path for you as someone who is trustworthy.
Mhm.
So a lot of it was around character building, and then the other groups that you just read out.
Yeah. And so I made a short list of some that jumped out at me that I want
Okay.
to ask you about. And one of them was number 14, ease your hand out of the lion's mouth. Share, say more.
Yes, 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 yes. I'm gonna get to that one, which is chapter 14, and maybe read something from that. Because again, my dad wasn't proposing that we live a mistake-free life, but it was, how are you going, what are you going to choose next? What choices you're going to make going forward, and then what choice you're going to make next, and having you a guide for that. So this one, ease your hands out of the lion's mouth, is one of them, perhaps when you might find yourself in a situation, a circumstance. So this book is also in chapter and verse, because my dad, being a minister, being a lover of the Bible, this was familiar to him. This is the thing that he loved, chapter and verse. So these are the same way. So chapter 14, ease your hand out of the lion's mouth. I'll read maybe the first 3 chapters. I mean, the
Mhm,
first 3 verses. Sorry,
mhm,
the first 3 verses. Okay. Verse 1, there will come a day when you find yourself in a risky situation. It may look good on the outside and feel dangerous on the inside. It might be a high paying, important job that is quietly ruining your mental and physical health. A draining friendship filled with unending fuss and little true support. A failing business venture you keep propping up with borrowed hope. or some other tight place that has closed its teeth around you. It will feel as though your hand is stuck in a lion's mouth. What you must not do is panic and try to snatch your hand back with all your might. Panic makes people storm into offices and quit in anger. Panic turns hard conversations into explosions. Panic makes desperate gamblers out of thoughtful builders. Sudden movements invite sudden damage. And then it just goes on to talk about how you can ease yourself out of
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
tricky situation. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is
Yeah.
really good. Really,
Yeah.
really good wisdom. And
Yeah.
it's like we only hurt ourselves if we're too hasty and we react and go off.
Mm-hmm.
We only hurt ourselves because
Mm-hmm.
it causes a reaction in someone else,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps to say, well, goodbye, or you're fired, or I'm
mm-hmm.
not going to recommend you for this project or
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And it takes awareness, and it takes
Self-awareness.
self-awareness, right? Self-awareness for you to pause and think, and it takes intention. What is it that I'm really trying to do here? I'm in this situation. What do I really want? What do I really want to get out of it?
Mhm.
Yeah. One of a friend of a friend, is finding herself in a domestic situation she's not happy with. Um, and I don't think there's physical abuse, but I think there's emotional abuse, and she wants to get out of it. And to me, this is a big situation of your hand in the lion's mouth. And I don't speak with her directly, but I speak with our friend, our mutual friend,
Mhm.
to say, this is one of those situations where you ease it out. You first go talk to people who have expertise in easing out of a situation like this, so it doesn't get, as the book says, more explosive, which is
Mhm.
not what you want. Then
Right.
you want to prepare while you're there for your second thing.
Yeah.
There's a way to do it. People know how to do it, to get out. Maybe some people can get out by just taking off running, but a lot of times you can leave it raggedy.
Mhm.
If your life is truly at risk, then that might be the option.
Mhm.
But what you can, there are ways to do it where the cuts aren't so ragged and
Mhm.
they come back on you. Yeah.
That's such a tough situation too, because the the person who's being emotionally abused can feel down about themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
their self-esteem can be low,
Mm-hmm.
and they can
Yeah.
question, should I do this? Should I do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then again, that self-awareness,
Mhm.
like you were saying, what state am I in, and some intention,
Right.
because that would might help you. Let me contact somebody who can see this more clearly than I can. And do I really tend to get out? Sometimes we say that, but we
Right.
don't have the intention to do
Right.
that.
Do you
Yeah.
really leave?
Yeah. To really
Whoa.
leave.
23, chapter 23, you can't beat them at their own game. I like that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So my dad grew up, in the segregated South. He was not in slavery himself, but he certainly saw the remnants of that and Jim Crow, and he had an understanding of that environment. And he said, and when he would talk to us about this particular truth, you can't beat them at their own game. A lot of that was resonating behind his mind when he was saying that a lot of these environments that are created by other people, that unfortunately attempt to hold others down, there are patterns to it, and there are games to it. And he was saying that you want to learn the game, but you can't beat them at playing that game. You have to change the game.
Yes. Yeah.
right? Where they're playing their game, and you they appear that you are participating
Hmm.
in that game,
Right.
but in reality you have initiated another game.
Right.
And our ancestors, when you think about Harriet Tubman and all them, that's exactly what they were doing.
Oh yeah,
Changing the game.
absolutely.
Yeah, because that
Absolutely.
that's a good example of them seeing what the game was and
Hmm.
understanding I can't beat them at that game.
Yeah.
Right.
I was thinking today, about how divided, we are in this world. And there's a something called the Sedona method that I've brought up before on
Okay.
this podcast that I can't say that I'm deeply knowledgeable of, but I have some friends that introduced it to me.
Okay. I
And
hadn't heard of it. The
yeah,
Sedona method.
the
Okay.
Sedona method.
The
And
Sedona
and
method.
I
I'm gonna
think
write
that
that down.
it some of the videos you might see on YouTube are like from the 90s, but they have some more recent ones also.
Okay.
And
Okay.
one of the things are, can I let this go? Would I let this go? Or will I let this go? If so, when? That's kind of
Mm.
like a process. If like if you're having a problem with a situation or with somebody. And
Mm-hmm.
another part of what this guy, I think his name is Hale Dwoskin, is the guy who's like one of the one of the experts around this. He will say, "Can you just stop trying to figure it out?"
Mm.
And when I was thinking about that today because some things seem so lost and crazy in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I look at the divide in this country, and then I might look on social media and I'll see somebody that I happen to be friends with on Facebook, and then they are not that we're necessarily close in life, but
Mm-hmm.
um, and they're obviously on the other side, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, I don't understand. And if if I'm coming from, in my mind, a logical place, and if they're coming in their mind from a logical place, how are we ever going to get to a better world? And I
Right.
today I thought, can I just stop trying to figure it out in terms of getting them to change their mind?
Right.
Can I just stop trying to figure it out?
Right. 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 And part of that is what you're saying. I mean, definitely releasing our need to know,
Yeah.
releasing our
Why
need,
of it?
the why of it, because you cannot figure it out. It's two people with different understanding. They can't walk together, speaking different languages in a lot of ways, with perspectives that have no connections with one
Yeah,
another,
and
right? There's no.
what I'm thinking of too in this case is it's you could say it's two sides of a population, like we have a divided population, and
We
the
do.
answer may not be trying to figure out how to get the other side to change their mind. That's a lot of wasted time, maybe.
It is. I think maybe a better effort is to ask everyone to examine the fruit that's occurring in their life, that's showing up in their life, the
Absolutely.
fruit that's showing up in the country, right? The fruit that we're seeing now is not sweet, is bitter, is divisive,
Right.
is fueling anger, is all the things most people would say they don't want. And then that says, okay, where is it coming from?
Mhm.
Right. And
Mhm.
then you gotta redo, recreate, undo the root of that thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
People who are fine with the fruit that they're eating, they're gonna cultivate that and they're gonna call bitter sweet. Right. They're gonna just say, hey, I refuse to do anything differently, and I'm gonna just take this and eat it. Then they have to eat that. They have to do
That
it.
is so, so wise because I mean, that's such a wise metaphor because some people do settle. They'll say, well, sometimes it's sweet, sometimes it's bitter. And then there's other people who are idealists, like, say, well, I want sweet fruit. You
Sweet
know,
fruit
I
all
want
the
sweet fruit.
time.
I want no,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And there's nothing according to divinity, what I've learned about spirituality, what I see in the universe, what I see in nature, that says that can't be done. That can't be something we desire and something that we cannot have. We can have fruit. We can be joyful every day. Why? Because I believe a universal law is we reap what we sow.
right.
So if you're sowing in joy and peace and the things that's fruit, you will reap that, even though you might encounter challenges, right?
Hmm.
It doesn't negate challenges. I think Don Lemon wrote about it when he came out of incarceration, came recently,
Hmm.
said that the truth will set you free, but it doesn't mean that it comes without consequences, or that it's not going to stir people up or anything like that. But still, the freedom to me is worth it,
Right.
because a lot of people will yell or scream, or our ancestors would say, hit dogs holler.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the truth, it doesn't make it wrong because they're yelling and screaming, and
Yeah.
they want to lock you up because you're
Hmm.
telling the truth.
Hmm.
But with someone like Don Lemon, being able to say the truth is primary to him being able to speak the way he speaks and
Yeah.
to write what he writes.
I,
So I'm sure with him, he's willing to take the being arrested.
yeah.
You know,
And the truth is also, in my mind, like your inner truth. And your inner truth is not hate. Like,
right?
the worst person on the planet, their real inner truth is not hate. So the
Exactly.
truth will set you free.
It will set you free. You're so right. What I call true self, at the core, true self is to me the divine, which is not hate. It's
Right.
all the wonderful things that we say we aspire to.
Mhm.
All the things that we say Jesus was, and all the things we sing about in the
Yes,
choir.
yes,
That's at our core. But like, conditioning and fear and all those things, we start to let override the original system.
yes.
Yeah, but the original system is still there, and it will resonate with the truth of whatever we're talking about.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So beat them at their game, I think, was one of those things that you can rise above and look bigger than their game, to find the path that's going to get you to where you want to go.
Exactly.
You go around the mountain. There are ways to
Yes,
maneuver, right? and
yes.
and that, and again, that's what our ancestors did. They played into really the divine feminine energy, the divine masculine, the things to, as they said, make a way out of no way.
Mhm.
The divine God was doing it, but they had to believe that that's what it was in order to take action with it.
Exactly. Well,
So you're
they had to follow in that divine
Yes, yes,
wisdom with God.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Doing it with God, not
Mhm.
not sitting waiting for God.
Right.
Yeah, doing it with them.
So, chapter 28, to grow up, go down.
Yes, that was another big one. All of these, I guess these 42s were kind of big ones for our dad. But that to go up, to go down is all about being humble, humility,
Mm,
and how he recognized that so many people resisted that, resisted
really?
being humble. And my dad, he believed in God. He grew up Christian, he went to church and everything, but he believed that God was God, God was in him, God had his back, he and God were one. And if it was just them two ever, that's all it took. He
Yeah.
believed in that. So much so that he had no issue taking the short straw. or
Mhm.
taking the short end of the stick.
Mm.
If anybody was going to be owed something, it was going to be him.
Mhm.
And it didn't diminish his self-view at all. And I think that's what he meant when to go up, go down.
He sounds like, I mean, obviously I know he was a pastor, but he sounds like a true servant.
He
Like,
was. He was. And I think he had confidence in who he was in God and who God was in him.
mhm.
So he didn't, and I say this a lot. He didn't need cheerleaders. He didn't need anybody pumping him up. Although he appreciated, but he didn't need that to
Yeah,
live and to do well and to do right and to have vision and do those things. You know,
yeah.
he was just him,
Mhm.
living, determined to live the best life he could and to bring others along with him. He loved people, and
Mm,
he loved to, if he could lift you up, he was going to lift you up, but he wasn't going to just like beat you over the head about it.
yeah,
If you didn't want to take it, okay, that's fine. You don't have to take it.
there's
But
free
this,
will
yeah, chapter 28, to go up, go down,
to go up
meaning
down.
be okay being humble. That chapter 28, verse 3 say, being humble is rooted in worth and alignment with God.
Mhm.
Meaning, I don't need to be up here in order to be high. I
Yeah,
don't need to knock you down to be high, you know?
yeah, I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
And I keep thinking about actually my mother and grandmother and because, in our community so much, we pump ourselves up, and that can bother me sometimes. And I remember my mother and grandmother would say, "Well, that's because we have to do it because nobody else will do it."
Mhm.
No, but
Yeah.
to not have that need is, I think really, really wonderful.
Yes, yes, yeah. It doesn't mean you don't welcome it with gratitude if it comes, right? We
Mhm.
all want to be seen, but to need to have it
Yes.
is where you cut yourself short, right?
Mhm.
You've disconnected something from spirit to say, I need these people to tell me this in order for me to take this first step.
Mhm. Mhm.
Get with spirit, y'all hang together, commune, meditation, like go for a walk, do those things, and spirit will whisper to you, I got you. Take that step.
Right, right.
Yeah. I
Uh,
got you.
Charity begins at home and spreads abroad. That's chapter 37.
Chapter 37. Yep. So and I think this one has, I think, biblical roots to it,
Mhm.
with the charity. But his thing was, if the best you give is for public consumption, then you miss the beat. You miss the ball for
Mm.
that. Let me see if I can find that one.
Yeah,
But
because, you do have to fill your own cup to be able to give to
absolutely.
others. You have to nurture yourself, nurture your home, to have something to give to someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep, yep. So verse 6 of that chapter says, charity is monetary generosity, yes, but it's also the discipline of treating the people closest to you, starting with yourself, with the same kindness, respect, patience, and accountability you're quick to give strangers. The real test of charity begins within, where you learn to offer love to your own self, along with its companions of truth, mercy, correction, compassion, and joy. When you honor your own soul first, generosity flows outward with ease, not strain.
Mhm.
It's just like you were saying.
Yes, I love that.
Start within.
Yeah, start with that. I'll tell you something simple. I went to this conference today, which was at the Georgia International Convention Center. And
Okay.
when I went there, I went to the wrong door, and then I went to the right, so the doors were locked. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then I walked towards the to the right towards the end of the building, and There was nothing happening. You could see through the, doors. There was nothing happening. And I went
Mm,
there last year. Okay. So
okay.
I understand what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
and doors locked. So that means I got to go all the way down to the other end of the building. It's a large campus to the far end of the building.
Right.
And I said to myself as I was walking, and I don't usually do this, but I said, so stupid. Literally said that
Yeah, I
to
know.
myself, calling
I
myself
know.
so
I know.
stupid. And then I immediately said, nope.
No.
I'm pulling that back. It
Pull
was
that back.
a mistake. Anybody could have done it.
Yes.
It's just a
Yeah.
mistake. It's not raining out here at the moment.
Mm,
It's just like I
mm-hmm.
just had to pull it back and, was very serious about giving myself grace and not having that language,
Yes.
which I don't
Yes.
usually. It's rare for me to call myself that, but
Yeah.
I was just
It
like, no.
it 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 happens. It happens because, but at the moment, how you're feeling right at that moment.
Yeah.
But the great thing is that you had immediate awareness.
Mhm.
It's just, no, that's not me.
Yeah. Yep.
We are multiplicit, within. There are a lot of different aspects and facets to who we are within. So,
Mhm.
yeah, you have conversations with yourself. Sometimes it's your lower self trying to talk. And that low self, the one that's all the way on the ground, will say, "Oh, that's stupid." Then the high self have to come in and say, "Okay, hold up, chick."
Exactly.
We understand you on the ground.
Mhm. Absolutely. So 41 and 42 resonated for me, even though I feel them, I feel the wisdom of them. 41 is trust in the one true God within you.
Yes.
What did you write about that?
Yeah. So this is, and the bulk of this chapter is an experience that my dad had when he was toying with the call into ministry. He had always been a leader in the community, a leader in the church congregations, in a really huge way. And um, I don't think he had expected to become a minister. Maybe he didn't expect any of those things. I think naturally he was a community leader. Naturally he was a family leader. Naturally those things happened. And his love for community, for people, and for God, had him doing these things. And I think he was, did I see on here? Maybe in his 40, early 40, at 40. Yeah, in chapter 41, verse 3, it says, "At 40, I heard a whisper of a call from God to preach the gospel, to become a minister." And he said, "That's when I quieted the voice that I had followed all this time to make space for questions and doubt, an act that was strange to me. I hadn't asked for this, had I? Was this where my passion had been leading me? Why me, Lord? Why me?" And so he kind of, this chapter starts out with saying not trusting that voice, but
Mhm.
then recognizing that verse 11 said, "It is trusting the intuition that nudges you toward growth, the conviction that rises when you're tempted to shrink, the peace that refuses to be bullied by doubt and chaos, and the wisdom that whispers, 'This way, son.' The
Mm.
God within is the compass that never lies, even when your emotions do." And then he talked about how he had, talked about himself. "I can't preach. People don't want to hear me. I can't sing." And as a young child, I remember him walking our backyard during this time, and like he was talking to himself. And my mother was looking out the window. She's like, "Lord, I don't know what your dad is doing out there." But he was wrestling and toying with this idea and with that other self, maybe his low self, saying, "You can't do this."
Mhm.
And then the true God within saying, "I'm choosing you. You can do this." And so that's what he was saying. You walk, the last verse, "You walk with divine authority, quiet certainty, and a soul that knows it is never alone when you can trust God." You know, this I grew up in Christian, Black Baptist Christian, all of that. And for so long, God was out there, not in here. That's the message I got. Even though my parents were demonstrating something different, they were demonstrating that God was within. Um, but we were always praying outward, praying outward. So as an adult, on my own journey, experiencing life, I did start to realize and embrace that God is within, and I can establish a one-on-one personal relationship with that entity so that I can hear the voice and understand things and see things and hear and trust it and become comfortable with this something that's not totally me
Yeah.
driving me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Leading me, telling me where to go. And that is a practice.
Hmm.
We cultivate that really every day, with
Hmm.
every turn of life, with every decision, with everything we go through. You start to cultivate that and begin to trust,
Yeah.
in the God within, which to me is how you can live joyfully
Right.
every day.
Right. 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 Yeah. I was going to ask you. Well, first of all, you mentioned your dad was 40. Were you already a young adult, or how old were you?
No, I was 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was curious how, being a preacher's kid, how that shaped you and your spirituality.
Yeah, it's probably shaping me more than that. It definitely shaped me then. We were very church oriented, there, church all the time. My dad, like I said, was very active, taught Sunday school, was the superintendent, became chairman of the deacon board, did blah blah blah. So we were very kind of a present family in the church. My
Hmm.
parents demonstrated before us that, their beliefs 24/7. So they did demonstrate an everyday faith, not just
Hmm.
on Sundays, but they did prioritize, church activity for
Hmm.
us. But fast forward to where I am now, it's influencing me more now because I realize the things that I'm understanding about spirituality, about God, about oneness, about truths in the Bible, and things that Jesus was really trying to teach us was what my parents were doing, but
Yeah.
it was being framed in the language of that time that we were
Hmm.
growing up. So it was very Bible, it was very kind of churchy, it was very that, but the way they lived their lives was exactly that.
Right.
That God was within, God is with us, guiding us, will take care of us, will do, they live that 24/7. I don't know if I ever share with you, because I'm not sure if I did on one of maybe the first time we sat down together. My mom was trying to get a new job from what she was doing, and she applied to this teaching thing with the county's board of education. Um, and she got a letter on a Friday saying, she was not accepted into the new program. And it really hit her. It really hit her hard. And we were young at the time. And she kind of uh, segregated, took us a lot in her room most of the weekend.
Hmm.
She would come out here every now and then. We were old enough to get something to eat, and dad was there and everything, but she kind of went to her quiet place in her room for the majority of the weekend, and the house was quiet. I had never seen her like that before, to just be so secluded in that way. But that Monday, she got a call from the program inviting her to come. They had rejected her because her address wasn't in the city limits, which was
Hmm.
a criteria for the program.
Yeah.
But they called Monday inviting her to be a part of the program. So she was praying and seeking God for a change,
Yeah.
for something different. And I think that Monday's call was the outcome of that. So they lived that type of way.
Hmm.
They showed us faith and stepping out on faith and, going for what you want and all of those things. It
Yes.
was just that I can appreciate it now for that being a one-on-one relationship with God.
Hmm.
they each had, and they just happened to be sharing it together as husband and wife and parents to
Mhm.
3 children.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are your brothers spiritual?
they are. They are. So my brother is a pastor. He accepted call into the ministry about 15 years before dad left. And shortly after he did, a couple of years or whatever, he co-ministered with my dad at the
Mhm.
church. And now he's the pastor of that church.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's quick to say God first, everything else second. Like,
Yeah.
everything else, yeah, everything else.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to
Yeah,
be.
yeah. And my other brother, he, same way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same way. Yep, yep, yep.
Well, the final one I have is number 42. The only way to go, there's only one way to go. And
Only one way to go, and that's forward.
yes.
Yes. And there again is a connection with the divine. Because in dad's mind, the divine does not go backwards. The divine
Mhm.
only goes forward. And you can have things in your past that you point to, but his thing was, it's not there.
That's right.
Yeah. Chapter 42, verse 3 says, yesterday is gone. You can remember it, you can learn from it, you can even grieve it, but you cannot live there. You cannot go backwards. There's only one way to go, and that's forward. So then it goes on to talk about, you know, what can happen when you try to when you're trying to live in the past,
Mhm.
and how it's
Mhm.
just blocks where you're going tomorrow,
Yeah.
right, where you're going in your future. And it was a call, a rally call from him to say, look up, be positive, move forward.
Mhm. Yeah.
And he in a nutshell, he summarized that to say there's only one way to go,
Yeah.
and that's forward.
I'm claiming this for you as bestseller because this is you've got some real wisdom in there, and you're telling the story of your father.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And I think it came through me. I have on the front, as retold by Netta Fei, no bio, no anything in the book, because I don't think it's mine. It's his that I'm introducing to the world, and not for him, but for us.
Right.
For each of us to build upon shaping our choices, of how
Gosh.
we want to live, how we want to show up, how
Mhm.
we want to exit.
Yeah.
I want to say I have a good life and I have no regret.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
That is very important to me. That's really, really important to me to not
Yes.
have, any regrets as far as my truth goes,
Yes.
because I
Yes.
feel like that would be just the worst feeling.
Yes.
Oh, and I don't
Yeah.
want to have that.
Yeah. Yeah. And Burnett would say a life well lived without regret doesn't just happen. It's
Mhm.
made to happen by the decisions we make and what we do
That's right.
next. It doesn't mean you don't have, maybe a slow day, a down day, whatever you might call it. Don't mean you're not going to have adversity, but it's like, okay, what is it that I want? A life well lived without regret. Okay, that means I've got to get up, move forward, and do something a little different. Shake this off and keep going.
Mhm. Yeah, we're here. I believe we are here to serve, learn, and grow. And if we're
Mm-hmm.
not doing that, then it's kind of like, why are we here?
Right. That's
And
a good point.
yeah, and you just said something that has been coming up for me over the last month and most recently last week is how what we do, it's not for us to keep. If we think we're serving, it's not for us, like what you were just describing about this book coming through you,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's this wisdom of your fathers that he had that wasn't even for him to keep,
Mm-hmm.
is carrying forward.
Yes, yes. And one reaction that I've been loving with people about the book is that they're remembering wisdom from their elders and ancestors,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
like you did about your mother, who
Mhm.
told you a wonderful wisdom to not let anyone else shape who you are. It's just too
Yeah.
much power. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Don't
we
let
don't give that away.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So people have been kind of remembering those, and some people said they're going to start writing theirs down that they remember. And I think that's a wonderful thing
Yeah.
because our ancestors didn't just come here, do something, and leave for, okay, that's
Mhm.
it. No, they came, did something as a pattern for us to look at and
Yeah.
to lay a foundation for us to stand on.
I often think about ancestry. You know how we dig into ancestry and we want these nuggets so we can know about people that we didn't ask our parents about,
Mhm. Yeah,
and on, in the previous generations. And I
right.
think, you know, I mean, I really get into that. And I think, also, what am I doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, are we taking the time to get to know our family that's here now? Or
Mm.
does that family have to leave for
Wow.
us to become curious and try to figure it out?
Wow, that's a good point there. That's a good
I
point
mean, I,
there.
I just feel like we don't appreciate, ourselves enough, or our
Yes.
families enough.
Yes. Yeah. I would hope that we can do better or do what you said to get to know now.
Yeah.
Start talking to, any elders that are with us now, talking to them, or even the young people, to have that connection to learn about one another.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
that connection is important.
I like to tell this story about how when a couple summers ago when I was in Jamaica and I went to this cave. I can't remember the name of the cave. I need, as much as I brought the story up, I need to remember what the cave was called. But it was a cave that um uh the enslaved escaped through.
Okay.
And so the tour guides, they took us through the cave, and at times everything would go dark. It was
Mm-hmm.
already dark, but there would be some lights here or there. But you could see how they literally were in pitch black darkness.
Mm.
And but when it was lit up in the rock formations of the cave, I was seeing expressions,
Mm.
and it was like facial expressions. And this was just
Wow.
me, I mean, like my friend,
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Do you see this?" And she understood what I took some pictures and I showed it to my nephew, but it wasn't like, people just carved out these forms.
Mm.
It was super powerful. And
Mm.
ever since then, now when I see so many Black people, I see royalty.
Mm.
That up because of what you have on, because I feel like you've got like this cape on, like a
Okay.
queen, you know?
Okay. Okay. Oh, wow.
So often I see
Wow.
people and I'm like, I feel like I see people and I can see how they're descendants, of
Mm.
royalty.
Mm.
I see it. I see it in men, women of all ages.
I
All,
love
all
that.
ages. Yeah.
I love that. Just the way you said royalty, that just sent shivers down my spine.
Yeah, yeah. I can't explain it. You know how sometimes you just, like, know something and
Mm-hmm.
you can't
Mm-hmm.
just what you
Yes, yes. It would do our people well to remember that, to recall that, to dig into that, to research our history before this country
Mhm.
and everything
Yeah,
that we got going on. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. One of my friend Lisa is starting to do that on her No Limits, No Boundaries Substack page.
Mm.
And it's really powerful.
Wow, I'm gonna go look for
It's
her.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Okay.
To the one piece that she wrote. I'll send it to you. Yeah.
So people, I know that we can buy the book on Amazon, anywhere
Hmm.
else.
Yeah. Anywhere books are sold.
Great.
Yeah, anywhere
Is it
anywhere you buy
Barnes and
books,
Noble? They can
you
buy
get the book. Yeah, anywhere.
wonderful. I'm so
Yeah, I would
excited.
love for people to get it, of course, and I'd love to hear how it may or may not resonate with people, or what it might prompt people to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have your next book percolating?
No, I think that this might be it. I think this is it.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I'm enjoying your pieces too. I see you
thank
doing a
you.
lot of writing and things like
Yeah,
that. So that's good stuff. I love that. I
thank
love that
you.
for us. Yes.
I do too.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for being on and
Thank you.
celebrating your book and you. And, it's just wonderful to be in conversation with you in general.
Yes. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being so open. I so appreciate you
Absolutely.
and everything you're doing, the work you're doing. Keep it up.
Thank
And
you.
there's only one way to go
That's right. Forward.
forward.